Alright, so this one's 2008 LTR 450. We actually sold this one back in 2018. I think I remember putting a new spindle on it. For some reason it had the wrong spindle, but it was super low hours. Like you can see how he brought it into us. He's been keeping it inside. I can't remember where this one came from. It might have been South Carolina. But at some point it might have sat outside, or this just might be just normal that the radiator hoses turn a little bit white. The heel guards are kind of looking a little bit white, so we might clean it up for him once we track down his issues. So having some fuel problems, no surprise. Having some electrical problems, a little bit less of a surprise. I had a couple things with my personal bike, but this one has draining 12 volts whenever the bike is off. So something is definitely grounding out where it shouldn't be, because usually LTRs, yearly below 0.8 volts, you're still doing okay-ish. I'd like to see it, lower than that. But hey, 12, draining full battery voltage, something is connected that's not meant to be connected. So we actually did the tank swap. That's what I had suggested to him. So he sent his tank out to one of the guys in the LTR forum, and they are gonna do the KTM pump, the reg, and the filter screen combo, where they kind of take care of it in-house and then ship it back out to you. That's where my personal bikes will be going to whenever I'm ready to get a tank. I might just do one of the tanks for now, because I honestly don't ride them that much, so I don't want to send 3 tanks out and then just have the pump sit dry, because that's, sometimes it doesn't matter what pump it is, that can sometimes cause some issues. So I'll probably just do one of my LTR tanks, and that way if I want to ride them, I can just take the tank off and swap it to a new bike. I believe he takes care of the fuel line, but hey, we'll go through that whenever that gets back to us. But for now, we're going to hook up. I have a YFZ battery. I don't have an LTR specific battery, but it's fine. We're going to hook that one up and probably just start pulling connectors out and see if we can get the voltage drop to go away. So it sounds complicated if you've never seen it done, but if you do this to your personal bike, don't do it to YFZ, because all YFZs drain 12 volts. It's just is what it is. There's a way to fix it, but it requires a harness. But on the LTR, we shouldn't be seeing that 12 volt drop. We have our test battery we're going to use. And anytime you see LTR cables bent up like this, it's because they didn't know the connectors went on the front of the battery. They thought they went on top, so they bent the crap out of the connector trying to get it to fit. And surprisingly, it never does. Imagine that, because you're not putting the battery on right. Set it up all fancy. Bam, look at that kickstand. Set it up all fancy. So it doesn't matter which way you do this. If you want to see a positive number or negative number, either one, it doesn't matter. We're going to set it to volts, and then we're going to go, let's see what it does. Alright, just for the sake of it, we'll do positive on the output of the bike and negative on this battery. Alright, so this battery, that's full battery voltage, if I had to guess. We could test it real quick. Positive, positive. So, almost full battery voltage. 11.94. So yeah, that'll chew a battery up in a hurry, with it, just sitting stored like that. So it's an 08, but I know on the 09s they had a big problem with the rectifier. The rectifier creates AC voltage, turns it into DC. That's what the bike runs off of. But especially when they're stored, they may start having problems. So we're gonna pop this one off. See if we can get to the connector down here. Alright, pop that one off, and we are down to 4.9. And sure enough, if you look on the back of this one looks to be OEM, and you can see it's bubbled out, so something has touched that's not supposed to touch. And the gel is kind of pushed out a little bit. I'm gonna say that that's from an uh-oh. So that's bad, but we still got 4.9 volts. We need to figure out where it's going. So next, I'm gonna do the coil, even though the coil might not be connected anymore. This is just kind of without looking at the wiring diagram. This is kind of just going over everything. I don't think it'd be anything to do with the injector. Yeah, I see no change. I think we're gonna be all the charging system on this one. So it's been a minute for the LTRs. Fuel pump is already disconnected. So they were zip tied to the frame, that's why I couldn't reach them. What do we got? Alright, 4.9. No change with the coil pack. What about the pickup coil? Oh, no change with the pickup coil either. That is interesting. Try the neutral safety. Still no change. Main fuse 1. Main fuse 2. Still no change. Alright, here we are sometime later. Not going to tell you how long. But I went through kind of the whole harness, just unplugging one connector at a time. Once we unplug the rectifier, that kind of takes the charging system out of it. So the voltage has to be going to either the fuel injection system or the starting system. One of the two has to be draining the battery. So after kind of taking the injector off, taking the coil off, popping the ECU loose, all that good stuff, the 4.8 volts or so that we had was still there. So that at that point, it has to be the charging or the starting system. Alright, so after that, we had the 4.8 volts, which means it almost has to be going to the starting system. So I pulled this little ground off the starter, nothing. Came down here, already checked our fuses, double checked our fuses, unplugged these connectors to the starter relay, nothing. So at that point I was kind of scratching my head, and I was like, you know what, we're going to pull the main starter line that goes directly to the starter, and as soon as I pulled that off, the voltage went away. So right now it still reads 12 volts because I had plugged the rectifier back in just to confirm. So 12 volts, drain, pull the rectifier off that we know is bad, and we are down to a normal level, so 0.07. So I will take that. We'll see how much this starter relay is, just as a measure, because something was going on there where it was still letting 5 volts through the signal wire or something like that. Maybe the starter has some bad brushes, but without really having a rectifier, it's kind of hard to prove that. So we'll, and then I tested his stator. Pull this off, this connector, get this back, go to ohms, and I think it said 1 to 1.7 or something like that, and the most we're getting across any of the yellow wires is 0.05. So that thing has not a whole lot of resistance left, which means it is probably bad or on its way out. The pickup coil was actually good, but whenever you buy a new stator, usually this comes as a combo pack. That's the better way to do it anyway. So yeah, we'll hit up RM Stator and let the customer know what we found, and then get some parts ordered for him, and then see how much that starter relay is. If it's only a couple dollars, maybe go ahead and grab that just as a measure, because those can go bad, especially with all the water and stuff that comes up right here from the tire hitting it. And then still kind of speculating about the starter motor, but we really won't know that until, you know, we can actually start it. So we'll go from there. Alright, it's been about 3 or 4 days. We got some parts in for the 08 LTR. I don't think we'll need that connector. It should be plug and play. But we have a new rectifier. Should be our coil and stator combo. So once again, I don't think we'll need that connector. Alright, already comes with a connector on it. Pickup coil is hanging free, so you want to make sure that that guy's clean and in the right spot whenever you install it. And then this one, alright, starter relay. So that should take care of all of our electrical issues that I had seen. We got an OEM gasket, and then of course his ground wire was missing the terminal, so this is relatively cheap. If you cramp your ground wire back on, you might end up having problems later on. So hey, just go ahead and get the factory piece if you can, and that'll just plug right back into our harness with no fuss or anything about it. And then he wanted some blue coolant hoses. His are a little bit faded. I think before he had bought it, it had been in the sand somewhere, so that sand really digs into rubber parts. He bought a little aluminum gas cap to match, so we'll throw that on there for him. And then our fuel tank is back from getting modified. So this guy is on Facebook and under the LTR page, and you can see that he has got us a KTM pump, all the necessary fittings to convert it, and then got us our quick connects to go straight to our injector, and then this plugs straight into where the fuel pump was on your factory harness. So about as simple as it could get. We've needed this for a very long time. So I plan on sending my stuff off, give you all an honest review once we start the bike up. So we got to drain the oil to get this new coil in there. So let's get the 3 drain plugs out on the LTR. Alright, so we got the Marshall Smith tank, and heat shield stays with this conversion. We're going to grab our fuel pump connector, go ahead and slide it down, get our front tank mount in there, and then this hose actually loops around the other side versus going to the left side where the swirl bowl filter was. So this connector, a little bit dry, so I'm just going to spray just a little bit of stuff on it. Just so we don't tear an O-ring or anything. Alright, slid on there much easier. We got our fuel pump connection. Plugs right into the factory harness. Just like that. Alright, let's get our key. Alright, pump is definitely running. Sounds like the internal regulator probably opened. Alright, pump is fully primed. Still has a clutch safety on it. And remember, we're trying to fill this entire fuel line, so it might take a second. So the idle's a little bit fast, but we're not going to adjust that until we get all the plastics and the seat back on. That way it's running exactly how it sits. If you do it this way, the intake is getting way too much air, so that's why you don't want to rev it too high either. But yeah, it sounds good. So we had noticed some play in this right front wheel. For some reason, whenever it's on the ground, it doesn't move so much. But as soon as you lift it up in the air, here's the stand. So yeah, up in the air, you can tell that that thing is completely loose. The tires are a little bit bald in the front, so really any amount of street riding, there's a lot of vibration going on, so that could have cooked it. And honestly, the condition of this bike and the stator cover still having the OEM gasket on it, I want to say these are OEM hub bearings. But yeah, we'll get this wheel off and get some seals out and check them out and see if it actually is 2008 bearings. So whoever installed this LTR chain, there's little spacers on the bottom, and they are supposed to line up with the swing arm. I mean, if you just tighten them down, they're going to turn like this, and it just kind of looks bad. So customer had mentioned to us, so easy fix. We're just going to get them positioned the right way.
Y'all know any other brake pad besides OEM that uses a metal backing plate? Because I'm wondering if these are still the factory pads in here. Front bearing definitely doesn't feel the best. The spacers have a little bit of wobble in them too. Alright, just before I throw them away, there is the factory bearings. So you can see they're only sealed on one side, facing the outside. As soon as the hub gets water, mud, dirt, whatever in it, it just destroys those bearings. What we got left, there's a little bit of wood in there from me beating on the engine building stand, but all the rest of this is what was inside those bearings. So you can only imagine what kind of party was going on inside of there. On and see what we're working with now. And I'm not going to torque this wheel because the customer wants us to clean it up, which we are happy to do. And the inside of this wheel is pretty dirty. So I wonder if that has a hint at where the sand and dirt kind of came from. So on this clip, I have music playing in the background. I think there might have been a movie on or something. But this customer, I noticed the air filter is super dry on it. It looks like the filter that I put on in 2018. I bet it is. And air filters being dry, super dangerous. If they sit, they dry out. If they have excessive dirt in them, they'll dry out. And these red filters, they still look clean, but you can see once I get the filter off of the cage, you can see how much dirt actually made it past the filter, into the cage, into the motor. The intake, I kind of used a microfiber and kind of wiped it around in there, but you can see that there's still some residue all around the intake tube. All that dirt went into the throttle body, into the rings, and just not good for the bike at all. So it only takes a couple minutes to clean and dry and oil air filters, and it's super important. That is the life of your engine. So definitely every ride, at least look at it. You know, if you ride on the street and stuff, chances are you're not going to pick up a lot of dirt. But if you ride in the dirt every ride, it's got to be clean and greased. Alright, so we got our air filter out of our cleaning solution. That's just hot water and the blue no tool. We're going to just leave the filter on the counter for the night, let it dry out really good. I usually throw the cage and the secure part that goes on the end of the cage. Just throw both of those in the bucket too and just clean them up. And then also make sure to clean your air box. And then after that, once the filter's dry, we will do the red oil. Alright, so it's the next day. We got our LTR filter completely dry. If you need it faster than that, you can put some towels in it or something and get it to dry out faster. If you set it in the sun, it'd probably be dry in less than an hour. So we got our no tool oil. I just put mine in a little Home Depot spray bottle. It just makes it easier to get it more even over the filter. And then we're just gonna coat it. Alright, so once you feel like you got an even coat on there, you're going to go and work it in. Alright, so you can see it's shiny all over, which is what you want. And then go ahead and get your cage. The LTRs, you got to be super careful. Let's wipe the inside of this cage out. Usually there won't be dirt inside of here, but this filter got dried out and let some dirt through. So this also got soaked in the bucket, and you can do that every time with the filter cleaner. Alright, so we got our cage. The LTR 450s, you line up this nipple, and then you gotta be really careful and stretch this thing over slow, or else you could risk tearing the air filter. And once you tear this lip, that's kinda it. You're gonna have to get a new air filter after that. Alright, so we got that on there. Because this air filter seals to the box, that means it has to have some kind of grease. So we got our no tool grease. Yours might come in a tube. I get the larger one that comes in a can. And then we're just going to put it along the whole sealing surface. Alright, so the sealing ring on this one is about in the middle, so we got a good coat on that one. And then we're just gonna go ahead. Alright, airbox is already cleaned. The lip on the airbox is already cleaned. Go ahead and put our cap on the end. Alright, so that's tight. Make sure your basket's tight. Good to go. Alright, so I think that'll do it for the 08 LTR. A little bit of electrical issues, a little bit of cosmetic upgrades we did, a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of it all. And then customer said, hey, I want it to look like kind of one of your bikes whenever you get ready to sell it. So yeah, no problem. We'll clean it up. And he's about ready for new tires, but we'll get those probably next time. But I'm sure he's going to be much happier with it. So we got the voltage drop down to less than 1 volt whenever the bike is off, which I'm pretty happy with. And then the new tank, the KTM pump modification, it literally fired right up. I adjust the idle, which might have nothing to do with the injector, or might have nothing to do with the fuel tank at all. And then, yeah, one quick adjustment of idle, and it revs perfect. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have to grab some of those for my LTRs whenever I start riding them again. But yeah, pretty clean 08. I mean, it's hard to find them like these days. So whenever I had taken the stator cover off, that thing was actually about glued on there because the engine cases have never been opened. Still factory exhaust, still factory air filter, and just a cherry bomb. So, and the LTR has made good power just like that. So they really didn't need much done to them to really, get up in the high 40s, if not 50s, low 50s. But yeah, going home and on to the next one.